Hello, my name is Jesse F. Fuentes, and I'm speaking on behalf of the Eagle Pass Border Coalition. I want to talk to you about the Puerto Verde dilemma. Yeah, I need to. You might want to ask yourself, what is that? Well, I'm going to attempt to give you a quick explanation of where we're at here in Maverick County, Texas. So sit back and listen now. Now, this is going to be a whole bunch of information. You might call it an assessment. An assessment of where we're at, how we got to this point, and what we need to do, or basically what do we need from you. Hopefully you'll be able to support us. It's been kind of rough, but this type of system that appears to mortgage the future of generations of Eagle Pass and Maverick County citizens is being passed off as an amazing opportunity for progress. Despite frantic opposition from the City of Eagle Pass residents, the Eagle Pass City Council voted to approve a TIRZ, or you might call it a tax increment reinvestment zone. That would expand the growth of our community of Eagle Pass, Texas by a couple of thousand acres. Now, these TIRZ zones is a way of stealing from the not so well off and transferring the wealth to some pretty well off and well-financed developers who seek to gain money from the local taxpayers up front in the return for some amazing dividends down the road. That pretty big giveaway by our elected city leaders this past year is very similar to this Puerto Verde dilemma. First, the billboard said over 250,000 jobs. Now, a renowned economist says over 350,000 jobs. The first map showed that they would place a toxic chemical waste dump site right next to the neighborhoods in Seco Mines. This newly revised map does not have that toxic waste dump anywhere. Interesting. So keep this in mind. Best I say, keep an open mind on this and follow me. Now, this goes back to the original plan. Let's call it Plan A. Maverick County over the last 30 years has been looking to establish a revenue stream from an international bridge. During that time, Maverick County paid over $200,000 for a study about where to place the new bridge or bridges. But they won't show it to anybody. You need to put in an FOIA, Freedom of Information Act request. Now, and as an educated person, an educated guess would put the plans of these new proposed bridges, both the commercial and the rail international bridges, at the most viable location of the intersection of Highway 277 North to Del Rio, and at the point where the new 480 loop would finally connect with 277. Great idea! Well, that is if the Maverick County administration will allow us to see the original maps. So that was the beginning. Keep that in mind. Well, guess what? That plan gets shot down because the taxpayers were a little taken aback because of the lack of transparency. They rose up with a petition against that proposed $24 million investment in running sewer lines to Quemado, which coincidentally would allow Puerto Verde Group to hook up to those lines headed towards Quemado. You know, kill two birds with one stone. Think about it. Just think about it. You can't have an all-new fancy port way the heck out there without any darn toilets. You gotta have them. You just gotta have them. And in the meantime, the Puerto Verde goes to another plan, Plan B. Perhaps Highway 277 North and Thompson Road. Nope. Not gonna happen. Logistics problem. But yet, these developers, you can find out here locally who has shared interest in this project going through. Because if it goes through, they and their kin and companies that they own will be set for life. In the meantime, what about the residents and the constituents, the environment, the neighborhoods, the river? Our number one water source, the Rio Grande. Yeah. What about that? Well, let me give you a quick wrap up. So Puerto Verde goes to Plan C. Let's buy up the flood zone easements of Seco Creek to shove an elevated rail line through the middle of the Seco Mines neighborhood. And by the way, let's also buy up as much of the Rio Grande flood zone area property and build infrastructure on it. Now our state rep says all bridges are built in floodplains. Yep, he's right, but not their infrastructure. And to top it off, there's more that said, let's build a commercial vehicle bridge along the Elm Creek floodplain to bring in another bridge. Wow, wait, it gets better. Let's have the state rep for this area submit legislation to create a port authority to help the Puerto Verde people apply for bonds, issue fees and fines, tax the authority members, and perhaps do some eminent domain. And maybe compete against the revenues of the city-owned bridges. Wow. If you want to know more about this, just follow our QR code and get informed. Because these robber barons' scheme has bought out a very high percentage of our elected leaders. Those who do not speak against this Puerto Verde are in one way complicit with this proposed nightmarish scenario. As an organization, as an individual, as a citizen, we are not against progress, but we are also not for being left out of a process that will affect the entire population of this region. I can only say, in closing, this Tuesday, April the 29th, 2025, from 11 to 1 and 6 to 8 at the ICT Center, there will be a hearing for the community to provide commentary about the results of the EIS. What is an EIS? It's an environmental impact study done by the feds. This will be critical. If you care about the future of a well-planned out strategic growth plan for Eagle Pass and Maverick County, you should come out and speak against these multimillionaires and their multi-million-dollar investments that seek to jam down 2 bridges right through the middle of a safe and historic neighborhood that no one seems to care about. And well, in reality, which will affect our tax base rates immensely for the next 50 years. I hope to see you there. And by the way, don't forget to follow the QR code and sign on. Appreciate your time, appreciate your sincerity, and join the campaign of no. Thank you.